Right. So start recording here. So listing the stuff in the chat that is due. I'm looking for family tree. I'm looking for checkpoint one, reading notes, just chapter one. Okay. Then I'm looking for brainstorming prompts activity. That is under checkpoint two. Right. Then I'm looking for checkpoint two, narrative outline. Okay. Then I'm looking for your final product, um, which is the past, present, future narrative. Okay. So that is everything that is due. It's in the chat now. All right. What I'm going to do now is share my screen, go down that list, show you where to find each of those, and kind of a brief refresher of how to do each one. If as I'm doing this, you have questions or you're confused about anything, please don't be afraid to put it in the chat or give me a shout and let me know. Okay. So your first one says family tree. All right. These are all on Summit. So if you go to checkpoint one, which should be assigned to you, like I have on my screen right here, and you scroll down, you should see something that says entry event note taker, right? And then if you click on it, it'll look like this. All right. This may seem familiar if you were here at the beginning of the term. Okay. If you scroll down to where it says task two, here it has some questions for you to fill out about your family tree. All right. Define it in your own words. Brainstorm a list of people you would include. All right. Create your key. Your key just means this tells me how to read your tree when you make it. So, all right, everything in written in blue is on my dad's side. Every name written in red is on my mom's side. If it's a dotted line, it means they are related. If it's a solid line, it means they're married. Things like that. Okay. And then lastly, create your actual tree. You can create the tree right here on this Google Doc. You can, or excuse me, on this Summit page, you can do it on a Google Doc or a Google Slide and share that with me. Or you can draw it by hand and then take a picture of it. That's the way a lot of people did it. Whatever works best for you. Okay. So that is, where to go to figure out your family tree assignment. Once you do that, you can scroll back up and click on the actual checkpoint up here, reading notes, checkpoint one, which looks like this. I know some of you have already, asked some questions about this, but the basics are, you're only focused on checkpoint one, Effie, right here, because that is the chapter that we read together in class and worked on. So all you're doing here for this is, based on these directions up here of what to put in each box, you're filling out these first three boxes: notes, point of view, and quotes. Don't worry about this last one, okay? And so, using the first chapter of the story, you're giving me the notes, the kind of the who, what, where, when that happened. You're giving me your thoughts on, what point of view was this chapter written from? First person, third person. Um, how did that, character's perspective help the story? Um, you know, would it have been different if it was told from another perspective? Why did the author choose to do it like that? And then lastly, what are some important quotes to use there? Okay. Now, obviously, you need the story to complete that. So, in the chat right now, I'm also going to put a PDF link to the story for you to use. Okay. You can also find the audiobook if you search Homegoing on YouTube. All right. I'll put that in the chat as well. Okay. All right. Questions on those first two things so far? All right. Hey, Ayana. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. So if you're just joining us, I'm just quickly going over everything that is due for the end of the term. There's a list in the chat. Um, if you can't see that list, I'll put it in there again in a second. All right. So first two things are family tree and reading notes. Okay. It's just the first chapter of the reading notes as well. All right, which is checkpoint one. So again, any questions on any of that so far? Now is the time to ask if you got them. All right, Faye, thank you. All right, so next would be, all right, the brainstorming prompts activity. So you're going to go down to checkpoint two. It should say narrative outline on your summit. And then if you scroll down, now mine says checkpoint three, but don't worry about that. Yours will say checkpoint two. Okay. If you scroll down to the resources, the first one says brainstorming prompts activity. So if you click that, it should look like this. And then you have three different links here, past, present, and future. That's because in your final product, when you write me your narrative, your story, um, you're going to tell your story by, telling me about three different kind of moments that tell one big overarching narrative. One in the past, one in the present, one in the future. So this brainstorm kind of gives you some background info to help you do that. So you're answering these questions in the box, and these are your answers, your thoughts, not the story, not homegoing. Okay, and so you're just filling out as many of these as you can. All right. Once you complete that, you can go back to Summit, scroll up, and then find the actual checkpoint, excuse me, narrative outline. All right, which looks like this. And here's where you're going to plan that story that you're going to use for the final product. So you're telling me a story through three different vignettes, which, if you remember, are those short little narrative moments or images that, standing alone by themselves don't work as a whole story. But when you put them together, they tell us a whole narrative. They give us greater detail into a character, things like that. So if you remember when we watched the beginning of Up, and there were all those different little flashbacks that all kind of work together to tell, one big story. You're going to do that same thing for a story based on yourself, or a character that's based on yourself, and kind of like, heritage ancestry theme. So now you're going to follow these prompts again, answering them in the boxes to help you plan that stuff out. So you can see I've kind of done mine a little bit already as an example. So I would start with the past, and who's the main character? Okay, it would be my great grandfather Francesco. Then I would describe what he looks like, what his attitude is, what his traits are. Right? Are there any other characters I'm going to have here? So maybe his wife and his sons and daughters. Right? Where does that happen? Italy and America around the 1900s. Okay. And then I would start to map out, what happened, my plot outline. So, okay, it starts with Francesco leaving Italy for America with his family. And then I would continue on. And then I follow that same format for the other two. So now the character in the present vignette is going to be myself, right? Or character based on me, right? And the character in the future is where you can get creative again. Maybe it'll be my future son, who's also named Francesco, and now he journeys back to Italy, in the same place the story began, and something happens there, or he discovers a treasure, or brings something back, or whatever I want to do. Okay, and then I'm going to use all of this info on the outline to then go ahead and complete the final product, the past, present, future narrative. Okay, it should be down here at the bottom. Don't worry about this one, right? The literary discussion. So you're going to click on past, present, future narrative. It's going to look like this. And of course, it's a blank page, because all you're doing here is you're taking what you have in your outline and putting it into story form over here on this page. So I should see about a page, page and a half. Can be more if you want, obviously, if you want to get into it. Should not be less than that. All right. And what do I always say? If you have a good outline, then your story, your essay, whatever it is, writes itself. All right. So, if you do this well, then, the final product is going to be very easy for you. Okay. And then once you finish that, you are complete and you are caught up. All right. questions on any of these assignments? Okay, where to find them, how to do any of them, anything I said that didn't make sense, right? And Faye, I did just see your chat. That is no problem. So don't forget, ladies and gents, if you're seeing this and you're thinking, okay, I have a lot to make up, remember that the Summit Labs are still going to be going on today and tomorrow. Remember that the end of the term is tomorrow. So for me, that means by midnight. So you do still have a good bit of time to get some of these worked on and turned in. And again, don't forget, all your checkpoints have to be green or yellow. So if you know there's a checkpoint that you're struggling with, but you can kind of get started on it, and you've done enough to turn it to yellow, then move on to the next one, so that you've at least done all of them. And then if you have time to go back and get them all green, you can work that way too. Okay, work smarter, not harder. Right. 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 I'm just reading the chat here. Chapter 1 I'm struggling with. Okay, if you are struggling with those, if you're struggling with those reading notes, okay, again, don't be afraid to search on YouTube for the audiobook, and it might help listening to it as well as reading it in that PDF. And if you go back to around like the middle of December, or even maybe the beginning of December, there should be some class recordings on YouTube of me going over how to do those reading notes that you can watch, and look at, and that might give you some more detail, some better examples, of how to tackle those. All right. And again, like I said, if that's giving you trouble and you're
Mr.
struggling,
V,
what's up, man?
how I do the reading notes?
Okay. Were you paying attention to anything I said in the past 10 minutes? Then I'm going to tell you to just refer to the class recording of this class that will be up later today, because I am not about to repeat myself for another 10 minutes.
All right, thank you.
You are very welcome. Okay. All right. And to your question, you're only filling out chapter 1. All right. If you're talking about which boxes, just the first 3. So the notes, the point of view, and the quotes. The last box you don't have to worry about filling out. Okay. And yes, just for the FES section. All right. Did that help at all? Did I answer your question, Ayana? Cool. All right, ladies and gents. So here is the deal. If there are no other questions right now, Faye, when you say not the outline, what are you asking? Are you asking, do you have to complete the outline? Yeah, so that narrative outline checkpoint, you do have to do that. That's something I just went over. Okay. And again, I will put this in the chat again for everyone. All right. All right. And good, Ayana. If you completed the brainstorming, then you can move on to the outline. So once again, all right. Once again, here is a list in the chat of everything that is due. Family tree, checkpoint 1, just the FES section. Okay. Just the FES section. Brainstorming prompts activity, that's under checkpoint 2. Narrative outline, which is checkpoint 2. Okay, and then final product, which is the past, present, future narrative. And no, Faye, you're just doing the first section of those reading notes, just the section for FEA, okay? Because that's the section we worked on together in class. All right. another general reminder to everyone. Okay. All right, ladies and gents. So, and when you say everything, Faye, do you mean like the class recordings? Meaning like everything that we've gone over that's due can be found on YouTube? Yes, for more. Yeah, it can. So if you look on the Yes Phil YouTube channel, all of those class recordings, I'm going over this stuff at one point or another, right? So if you're looking for the reading notes, that would be like earlier in the term, like maybe beginning of December. Okay. If you're looking for the brainstorm and the outline, that would be like, maybe last week, 2 weeks ago, around that time, right? If you're looking for the family tree, that would be like the very beginning of the term. So, um, like right before Thanksgiving, right? Stuff like that. Okay. But either way, it is all up there. That's why we put them up there. All right. All right. So, ladies and gents, let's do this. All right. I'm going to got about 25 minutes left in class. So, like I said, I'm going to give you guys as much time as possible. And I'm going to stay in the chat on mute. If you have a question, you can give me a shout, put it in the chat. You guys are doing a great job with that already, which tells me that you're working on this stuff, which is awesome. All right. And again, if you missed anything I went over this morning about how to do something, um, the recording of this class will be up on YouTube later today. You can start by looking at previous ones. All right. But everybody should be working on at least something. Okay. As you finish stuff, don't forget to request feedback on Summit. Um, if it's a checkpoint, if it is an activity under a checkpoint, um, obviously you can't request feedback, but I'll be going in and checking that stuff periodically today and tomorrow and over the weekend. So if you finish it, know that it saves and you can just move on to the next thing. All right. Good job. I will check back in a few to see how everybody's doing. Rashawn, if you're still with us, if you can join that breakout room link I just sent you. Dr. Dave just wants to chat with you real quick. All right, y'all, just checking in. About 10 minutes left until we wrap stuff up. Questions with anything? Anybody having trouble finding something, figuring something out? All right, awesome. Um, Again, don't forget to request feedback on stuff as you finish on Summit, and know that if you are kind of planning out how you're going to work on and get caught up on everything throughout today and tomorrow, that I will be in the Summit Lab from 1 to 3 today and 1 to 3 tomorrow. It's the same link that you use for this class. So if you have trouble or you want some one-on-one help, don't be afraid to come visit me in there as well. All right. So I'm going to check back in about another 10 minutes and wrap everything up. Um, and hopefully we will be good to go. All right. Good job. Hey, so Ayana had a good question. And Faye, I'm seeing your question in the chat now as well. Let me read that real quick. So for the narrative brainstorming, you can do um, for the brainstorming prompts activity under checkpoint 2, you can do bullet points, full sentences, whatever works best for you. You don't have to provide super great detail there because it's mainly just kind of like an idea getter, graphic organizer. So save the bigger detail for when you write the actual story in the checkpoint. Okay. And don't forget that you're using your own thoughts and answers, not from homegoing when you're doing that checkpoint, when you're doing the brainstorm prompt activity. And then Ion, to answer your question, the final product is going to be the story. So you're using what you put in the brainstorm and on the outline, and then uh, you know, you're planning it out on the outline, and then you're writing the actual story for the final product. And then that story should be at least a page, page and a half, can be longer if you wish. Okay. I'm sure I will get at least 3 pages from Faye, but that's okay because I like to read. I'm just kidding, Faye. You can do whatever you want. Cool. All right. I'm glad to answer your questions. All right, ladies and gents. So we got about, let's do this since it is almost time to wrap up anyway. We are already talking here. Let's do this. What I'd like everybody to do is before you go, I want you to put in the chat a 1 to 5 on how you feel about everything that's due, getting it caught up for the end of the term, and kind of where you are. So a 5 would be like, I understand everything I need to do. I'm just about caught up. I'm going to be ready to go. A 3 would be somewhere kind of in the middle. Like, I know what I need to do. I have some stuff done. I need to finish some other stuff. And then a 1 or 2 would be like, I'm pretty lost. I need a lot of extra help to get caught up. Okay. So put those in the chat, please. Ayana, I got yours. Thank you. Faye, I got yours. So Zanelia, Rashawn, if you can put yours in there as well. Bev, Shadi, you too. And if you're putting in, like a 1 or a 2, don't freak out. Remember that we still have afternoon labs today. You still have a whole day tomorrow to get stuff turned in. And I would advise remind you again to utilize the YouTube recordings as well. Okay. All right. Sounds good, Rashawn. I will be checking Summit throughout the day. Zanelia, I just got yours. All right. I'm seeing a lot of 3s, which is good. That tells me that you guys, sorry about that. Tells me that you guys know what's going on. You're just, need to get this stuff done. So that's good news. All right. Good to see. All right, ladies and gents. So if you have no other questions for me, we are good to go for today. Have a great week off. Really good job this term. I know it was tough and long because the break in between or in the middle of it, but you guys did an awesome job. Keep up the good work. All right. I will see some of you maybe next period for English, and if not, I will see you again for term 3. All right. If you have questions, shoot me an email. Come to the lab later today, and I will help you out as best I can. All right. Good job today.